The world above was a symphony of constant change, and of all its movements, Coralia loved the descent into autumn the most. While her sisters thrilled to the riotous colors of summer coral or the gentle warmth of the spring sun on the surface, Coralia waited. She waited for the day the light would slant differently through the water, turning it from aquamarine to a deep, smoky gold. It began with a whisper, a crispness that traveled on the currents. The kelp forests, once a vibrant emerald, began to blush at their tips with shades of bronze and rust. It was her signal. With a powerful flick of her opalescent tail, she would ascend from the silent blue depths towards the world of air and fire. Her destination was a small, secluded cove, cradled by a forest that burned with autumn's glory. Here, the water was shallow enough for her to rest her arms on a sun-warmed granite ledge, her tail drifting in the cool, clear brine. The first thing that always struck her was the smell. The air lost its wet, green summer scent and became sharp and deliciously spicy. It carried the perfume of damp earth, of crumbling leaves, of wood smoke from a distant, unseen cottage. She would close her eyes and breathe it in, a scent so much more complex and intriguing than the simple salt of her own world. And then there were the leaves. Oh, the leaves! From her rocky perch, she watched them let go. They were not like the seaweed that nearly withered and dissolved. They fell with purpose, a final glorious dance. Scarlet maples twirled like falling stars. Golden birch leaves shivered down like coins from a sunken treasure. They carpeted the surface of her cove, creating a patchwork quilt of fire against the deep blue. One afternoon, as a particularly bold sugar maple leaf, the color of a ripe persimmon, landed right before her nose, she had an idea. Carefully, she gathered them. She collected the deep purple oaks, the brilliant yellow elms, and the fiery red dogwoods. Using a sharpened piece of driftwood and strands of tough seagrass, she began to pierce the stems and weave them together. Days passed, her visits growing longer as the sun's arc sank lower in the sky. Slowly, a garment took shape. She fashioned a crown of crimson and gold, its points mimicking the jagged coral of the deep. She wove a cape of overlapping leaves, which rustled with a soft, papery music every time she moved, a sound utterly foreign and enchanting to her water-attuned ears. On the day of the autumn equinox, when the world hung in perfect balance between light and dark, she put them on. The leaf cape floated around her shoulders on the water's surface, and the crown sat proudly on her sea-tangled hair. She felt a thrill, a connection to this fleeting, beautiful world. She was not of this place, but for this season she could admire it, could even wear its colors. It was then she saw him. A young man, standing at the edge of the forest, his boots scuffing through the fallen leaves. He was holding a basket of mushrooms and had stopped, frozen, staring at the cove. Coralia's first instinct was to dive, to disappear into the safety of the deep. But he didn't move with the aggression of a hunter or the fear of someone seeing a monster. His face was filled with a wonder that mirrored her own. He slowly raised a hand, not in threat, but in a hesitant greeting. He approached the water's edge, moving with a quiet respect. He stopped a few feet from her ledge and knelt down. I've never seen anyone like you, he said, his voice as soft as the rustle of her leaf cape. And I have never been seen, Coralia replied, her voice sounding like the whisper of waves over smooth stones. His name was Rowan, and he came to this forest every fall to gather mushrooms and to simply be among the trees. He told her about the names of the trees she adored: the maple, the oak, the hickory. He explained how the squirrels were gathering nuts for the winter, and how the geese wrote sad, beautiful songs across the sky with their V-shaped flights. In return, she told him of the deep, of the bioluminescent gardens that bloomed in the midnight zones, and of how the whales' songs echoed for thousands of miles. But her eyes always returned to the forest. "Why do you love this season so much?" he asked one day as a shower of golden leaves drifted down around them. "It's the season of dying." Coralia considered this, watching a leaf spiral down to land on the water beside her. She picked it up, its surface a delicate map of veins. "In the sea, things are always growing or being eaten. It is constant, wet life," she said. "But this is different. It is not a sad death. It is a celebration. It is a final breathtaking burst of color and light before the quiet sleep. It is brave, it is beautiful because it does not last." Rowan was silent for a long time, looking at the forest as if seeing it through her eyes for the first time. As the weeks wore on, the forest grew barer. The vibrant quilt of leaves became a thin brown blanket. The air grew colder, carrying the threat of frost. Coralia knew her time was ending. The water was becoming a painful cold, and soon the cove would be inhospitable. On her last day, she brought him a gift. It was a necklace strung not with pearls, but with perfectly preserved lacquered leaves, a scarlet, a gold, and a deep burgundy that would never crumble. "So you remember the fire," she said, "when the world is white and still." He gave her a smooth gray stone from the shore. "So you remember the quiet stories of the land," he replied. With a final lingering look at the stark, beautiful trees and the boy who understood, Coralia slipped beneath the surface. The cold enveloped her, but the memory of the false fire kept her warm. She swam downwards towards the eternal blue, her heart full of the most magnificent, fleeting season of all, already dreaming of the day the light would slant just so again, and the world above would once again burst into glorious, brave, and dying flame. The end. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.